G'day there, welcome back to the race side. We're here for another fantastic conversation with another fantastic Star Wars creative. Today I am joined by Galactic Chef, one of the coolest cooks out, especially for us Star Wars fans. We are going to be jumping in to conversation with him today, talking all about Star Wars cooking. I am going to expect we're going to end up very hungry by the end of this conversation. So, John, thank you so much for joining the website today. Great to have you.
Yeah, it's been awesome to join you. So I'm looking forward to talking food and Star Wars. I had two favorite things.
I love it. I cannot wait. Well, let's jump straight in and talk a little bit about who is Galactic Chef and what you do and how you got started.
Yeah, I think I started, it's probably about, it was during like the COVID, the height of COVID, back at home, just looking for stuff to do, hobbies to get into. And I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So I figured I'd just kind of throw all my interests of being creative, Star Wars, food. And I just, I started there, started small, just making things I saw online, and then kind of expanded on that and started doing my own designs, my own thoughts, and just kind of kept growing from there. And I've always wanted to help this, like, kind of Instagram, TikTok, all the different social medias, like, help me professionally. So I wanted to do something that was kind of getting that creative itch, and I'm a designer, so anything I can do with kind of that, trying to think of the right word here. Kind of a layout that, because like fine dining, you have like a dish, and it's not just about the food, it's about the presentation. And so that kind of scratched that itch of designing a good layout, not only something you actually want to eat too. So that's an pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's really interesting, so your background isn't being a chef?
No, I have zero experience in being a chef.
So good.
Which I do feel a little guilty, because I think people are like, when they earn the chef title, but I figured since I'm a galactic chef from a different galaxy, I think
that makes sense. That's what works. Yeah, 100%. Different galaxy, it doesn't matter. I love that. That makes it somewhat even better that your creations that you have made are so elaborate and extensive. But it makes just as much sense of you have a design background, because it is all about the detail and kind of concocting something that's very like small and detailed with lots of parts to it. So
yeah, I kind of like look at as like as a painter or any sort of artist. It's just kind of my canvas is food. So it's just a different medium is kind of how I try to look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So getting started in, the things you created, the Star Wars food you were creating, I'm assuming that you dabbled in the few Star Wars cookbooks that are out there, and that, you got the Batu one, the Galaxy's Edge cookbook, and there's a few predecessors to it as well. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I think I own 12 of them now. I think 12 Star Wars cookbooks.
I didn't even know there was 12. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing. I just, every time one comes out or I find a new one, I kind of just have to buy it.
Yeah.
My first one actually was, before all this, I bought a Star Wars cookbook for somebody. And so that's how I kind of realized that this is even a thing that somebody else thought of. And now I think I own them all. I'm not sure yet, but there's a couple good ones. There's one, I forget the name of it now, but it's all drinks, which I haven't dove too much into, but see that as kind of a future for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So talking about the variety of cookbooks there are already, take us back to like one of the first really Star Wars things you made, the first Star Wars recipe you created in terms of from the book, like first dish from a book you made.
It's Galaxy's Edge cookbook, and it was see, the thing, I do enjoy all the cookbooks, but the thing that I do differently than the cookbooks that I really was looking for was like dishes inspired by Star Wars, and it doesn't really like look sometimes as Star Warsy. It's like
Mhm.
the kind of the way the cookbook is written, it feels Star Warsy, but the dish doesn't look like it. But the one I thought seemed particularly alien was like the blue pasta and Galaxy Edges cookbook.
Mm.
And that to me just seemed like I've never seen anything like that, and it felt very different Galaxy type dish. And so that was the first one I was like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, blue anything food related is very Star Wars, I feel now. It's just the rule now. I love that. Is it too I'm assuming it's not too dissimilar to the blue noodles that we saw in Andor? Or is it like a slightly different shape?
Yeah, no, yeah, it was similar to that. Yeah, the
Mm.
very similar to that. And it surprisingly not dye that
Yeah.
changes in blue, but it's a blue butterfly tea. It's called, and it's from like a flower.
Oh, yeah,
That
right.
you boil the tea in with the pasta, and that's what gives it that kind of
Wow.
blue look.
Right. So it's just normal. You just use normal pasta and then boil it in the blue
You
tea.
use like rice pasta, so it's like a little more
Okay.
translucent, and it takes on the color more than like a normal pasta might.
Right. Wow, there you go. So that was one of the first concoctions of yours. Talking about the different cookbooks, and you mentioned this off the top of, you also started to kind of gain some interest and into making your own things and your own creations, kind of inspired by. Talk us through that. How do you come up with some of these ideas? What is maybe something that is your favorite thing you've created so far?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of my most successful stuff has come from Star Wars puns. I'm a big fan of puns. And so that's where I kind of like get the basis of like it's a good food pun.
Mm.
Shockingly, I've actually used a chat GPT. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll type in a bunch of prompts to try to get like a pun out of it sometimes. Um, Followers will send me stuff, and my family, my sister helped me come up with the dark cheddar. So I try to
Mhm.
just kind of crowdsource once the idea is formed, then I kind of start picturing in my head of like, how can I create this? But yeah, I just honestly, I just watch a lot of Star Wars and just things kind of hit me when they come, and sometimes you just
Mhm.
like have an idea that just pops up out of nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. When and I mean, like, we're talking Star Wars, let's talk about the actual films and talk about the shows, and their role in this. Is that, we've seen bits of, food, we've seen a lot of cantinas, we've seen a lot of bars and things in Star Wars, and then from that, we've seen, a few bits of food and drinks coming up here and there. Do you find yourself now that you're kind of in this Star Wars foodie mindset that every time a new show or movie will eventually come out, you're kind of honing in on it? Like you're really noticing, oh, we're in the bar. Okay, what are they going to serve? Like, are you finding yourself really looking for it now?
I definitely am, especially the newer stuff. I feel like they've added a more immersive world as there's more content created, and we're starting, shows like Andor. You start to see, I think, a little more like everyday life of these different planets and galaxies. And besides the blue milk, I don't really know if there was anything in the original trilogy. Food,
Hmm.
maybe something within Jabba the Hutt's like area in the third movie, Return of the Jedi, but
Mm.
um, that
He's
was
got that bowl of frogs.
yeah,
Yeah, he's got that. He's chomping on that.
which doesn't
Yeah.
make a great video probably.
Boiled
Cooking up
frog.
frogs.
That's a good point. That is a good
So,
point.
but now I did notice in Andor and Mandalorian, and Grogu loves a good everything. He does like to
Really,
snack on
if
every stuff.
anything. Yeah.
That it's become more. I think I've been more aware of it for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And actually, it's really interesting just having to actively think about food in Star Wars now. Because I mean, one thing that's always intrigued me is, speaking of the original trilogy, Luke on Dagobah and his little snack box that he has there. And he's got those little like rations in there. I
Yeah.
always wanted to know what is in that box and what kind of food they have. If you had to just presume and guess what is in that box of his, what do you think Luke Skywalker has in that snack box?
I kind of feel like it's gonna be something similar to what was it, Mandalorian, when they had like the ration bars that the one guy really, or was it Andor? I don't remember which one it was now. Who was the
like Mando.
the scientist that he like got betrayed at the end? He really wanted those like snack bars. I feel like it's something like that.
Yeah.
Something that's like non-perishable, so it's got to be like some sort of bar. I feel like that's a common thing in Star Wars.
Yeah,
Something that you can go from planet to planet without rotting.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like you don't know how long it's been sitting in that X-wing for, so it's gotta last a few years. Yeah, for sure. I love that. I love that. Talking about Grogu specifically as well, from Mandalorian. You're so right. He has so many food-related moments and things. We've gotten so many food elements from that character specifically. Talk to us through. Grogu's been like one of the most famous Star Wars characters the past 5 years. Talk us through kind of his involvement in your cooking, because I've seen you do, again, coming back to, I had a good Instagram stalk of the amount of food you've made. It's these, I don't know what Americans call them, but I call them deviled eggs. Is that what you
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk us through this Grogu deviled egg that you created.
Yeah, I actually, that one I did see online. I can't take full credit, so I did see somebody else create it. But it's just basically, instead of kind of a mayo-based avocado or a mayo-based deviled egg, you put more avocado in it, and that's what kind of gives it that green vibe.
Right.
Little celery ears, and I used to use pepper, like just like pepper corns. But those aren't really very edible. I don't know if you ever try to...
Yeah, just crunching on the peppercorn.
So now I use, I just had in my head and I forget it. But I use something else. One of those other smaller black things. Yeah. So that was actually my first viral video. It was on TikTok, and it was the baby Yodas at the time. We didn't know Grogu's name, and it was just tracked to a trend that was happening with Adele, her voice, and she would sing, and then it would pan to the crowd. And so I had like a Yoda martini with limes as the ears, and it kind of pans over to all the baby Grogus. And yeah, I mean, that's one of my favorite dishes. I mean, it just works out so perfectly, and a deviled egg I think is always pretty delicious.
Absolutely. So speaking of, because I feel like that's a good party food, I want to hypothetical and put you in a hypothetical situation where you've got a group of Star Wars friends coming over. You got like 10 people coming over to watch Star Wars, and you right now have to come up with the menu and what is going to be served at the Star Wars party. What are your go-to things, Star Wars themed things that you're going to serve to them?
Yeah, I if you could, look back at a few of my videos, I do like a couple themed like charcuterie boards, and so those I think are a good party favor, and they all kind of revolve around cheese and meats, and you can get a good centerpiece. I think one cool one is like a BB-8 cheese creation, so that's kind of the main centerpiece. And then I found out that making crackers is pretty easy. I had no idea until this year how to make a cracker. So I made like a sheet of crackers and then used different like cookie cutters to make crackers. Yeah. So that kind of, you got that around your BB-8. I think an easy one is if you do TIE fighters, where you just take some cheese and kind of make the wings of the TIE fighters, and then like a little piece of like circled like a kind of a summer sausage type of beef in the middle, and use a little cream cheese to kind of make it all together. I found those are very easy. I don't know if you've ever heard of Teddy Grahams, but Teddy Grahams are like a little bear they sell in America.
Yeah, it's like kind of like a little cookie.
It's like a graham cracker. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, so if you could buy those and then just use a little chocolate, usually just like a meltable chocolate chip, and you could draw on a little headdress, and it looks just like a little Ewok.
That is so smart. Yes.
So those are just like a few like really simple ones. A couple like puns I like is there's a candy called Rolos, and so it's like Han Rolo. And there's NMMA, NMMI. I don't know how to say that one. They kind of look like little Yoda ears, and so
Yeah.
there's a couple good puns. I try to do some stuff that's like pretty simple, so that I think the videos that do well, I think as much as like the complicated ones look cool, but I think people do like to try to make some of this themselves, especially with May 4th coming up. So I try to do some simpler ones that other people could try at home.
Yeah, absolutely,
Or at least save it to their Instagram and then never use it.
yeah. Be like, I'll make that and
save.
Just save it in there. Yeah. Oh, I do that all the time. That is very real. I love that. So, I mean, you briefly just mentioned it, but one of my questions was going to be, people getting started, people listening to this conversation now, they want to entertain, they want to do something fun of an afternoon, create a little Star Wars treat. Is there a go-to that you would recommend for them?
Well, I wouldn't recommend the macarons or macarons. I don't really know which. There's two different versions that from Grogu.
I never know what the word is.
Yeah, the TikTok and Instagram will let you know, all the different followers. That one was really difficult. An easier one, just I think the different for me it's kind of fun to do the different like bigger cheese kind of creation. So the BB-8 one I mentioned. I've done a porg one that just like I think it's just kind of fun forming. It kind of goes back to when I was in art school and working with like clay and stuff. And I like the kind of idea of like creating and forming the cheese into different creations. I think I did a Death Star one time. I think so. Those are just like the most like kind of I guess hands-on type of things that I just find and I always look at it as like an activity more than like cooking. It's just like a hobby. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what's such a beautiful thing, especially with Star Wars and Star Wars fans, is that there's so many ways to kind of express ourselves of how much we love this franchise and how much we love things. And yeah, this sounds like such a fun way to do that. Talking about your content specifically with Galactic Chef and the creations you make, your own creations, but also from the cookbooks as well. Tell us a little bit about that process in terms of filming yourself, creating them, taking the shots afterwards. Is that kind of difficult sometimes to be like cooking and filming and trying to get the right shot and all that? How does that process work for you?
Yeah, it kind of sucks. It can be very frustrating. I can't tell you how many times that I thought I pressed play and did not press play. Just like making weird noises, doing things that I'm just like, go back and watch and just like, what was I doing? I would eventually love to get like another camera or two. I mean, I just use my phone. Yeah, but I think that's the fun part. I'm a person that just loves to learn and just keep kind of getting better at stuff. So you learn how to do different little tricks and things, and getting a ring light I think helps with lighting quite a bit. I think that's one thing I learned quite a bit, and getting some sort of tripod. You don't really have to spend a lot of money, even just a $10, $15 one off Amazon. But no matter how hard you try, like your hand's going to start shaking a little bit, and it's just not going to be a great shot. If you try to do it by hand. But it's all part of the process. I mean, it's kind of, rewarding when you do get a cool shot, and luckily editing can help with a lot of mistakes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, love a good edit. Yeah. Oh, that's so fantastic to hear. Yeah, the process is very much learn as you go. I mean, I found that with my own stuff. It's just the more you do, the more you learn. So it's just about just starting and getting into it. I love that.
One day, hopefully, I'll just have my own show. All the cameramen just do it for me. I'll just be the on-air talent and have my own room while they do all the work.
Easy. It's that easy. It is that easy. I love that. That is the dream. That is the dream. talking about more the kind of philosophical, if you will, questions with Star Wars and creativity, and kind of already what we're tapping on here. To talk to me about kind of your relationship with Star Wars as a fan, just as growing up with it, watching it for the first time, and how Star Wars came into your life for the first time.
Yeah, I was thinking about that a little bit before this, just thinking that possibly could be some sort of question. I do remember watching it as a kid. Obviously, it came out way before that I was even born. But I do remember in the 90s, when I was a kid, one of my best friends had the original VHS trilogy of the original trilogy pack. It was like a gold black case, and I just thought that was like the coolest thing ever. The packaging was awesome. And I just remember wanting to watch it like every time I went to his house, and he didn't share quite the same craziness of Star Wars, and he was sick of it after watching it several times. But
Yeah.
I have very distinctly remember that when The Phantom Menace came out, I think I was about 10 or 11. I remember dressing up as Darth Maul for Halloween.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was the year I did get my Halloween bag stolen as I was walking down the street. Some person on a bike just like grabbed it. Yeah, that was crazy. What actually worked out for me because my dad immediately went out looking for him, but we didn't find anybody. But he immediately went to the store and got me a bunch of candy, and then like my brothers and my sister's like friends, they were all older and they gave me all their candy. It actually worked out great for me.
Oh, such a sweet story.
Yeah, so it just seemed a fun story. But yeah, me and my friend were Obi-Wan and Darth Maul.
Well, actually, speaking of Darth Maul, it's like you got reversed from the Phantom Menace. You know how Darth Maul comes flying in to get Anakin? You got reversed because you were Darth Maul and then someone came flying in to take your candy. There you go.
Exactly. Which 25 years coming up, right? Isn't Phantom Menace just right in the corner? I personally never hated on Star Wars. I still don't. I love any new Star Wars is good Star Wars to me. I'm very easy to please, so I like almost everything. Even outside of Star Wars, any kind of sci-fi nerdy stuff, I really get into. So, I love the prequels. I love Jar Jar. So yeah, it's pretty big for me growing up. And I remember the pod racing game for that 64. I played that a ton.
Best game, hands down, best Star Wars game to date. I can't believe you just said that. That's the greatest choice.
Which I do have kind of a vision in my head of doing some sort of pod racer for the 25th anniversary kind of dish. I'm trying to think of
hard because they are detailed.
Well, mine might not be as detailed, but like some sort of I don't know.
Shape will be
the shape of it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a wondrous thing that Star Wars has gone on for as long as it has, and there's always that negative argument people like to have that it's dead, it's gone. But I mean, we've been having content for years and years, and it just keeps coming, and it's wonderful. I think we're so lucky as a franchise and as fans to still have it coming out. It still has so present.
It's interesting too that like every I feel like every generation grows up a little bit, and they don't. It's not the same as they remember as a kid, and that they're the ones that get mad, and then a new generation will come and defend the new movies.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting. I think it's cool to see so many different generations have like a love for Star Wars. It just has transcended the last 3 or 4 generations. It feels like.
Absolutely. With talking about the influence of Star Wars, the creativity of Star Wars has. I mean, we could do a whole hour conversation about how influential the creativity of the franchise has been, especially the original trilogy. The kind of the creatives that came out of that, not even mentioning George Lucas, the creativity and the design that came out of the movies was such a big part of the film industry. But I want to know how the creative push that Star Wars has always had has influenced you, because you mentioned you're a designer by trade, and by study as well.
Yeah.
Do you think Star Wars has kind of subconsciously influenced that, and that's always been a thing that you've loved of Star Wars, the varying designs and the creative influence that has had?
Yeah, I think to a certain extent, for sure. I mean, it's got some iconic kind of pans and different movements, that the way that they filmed it. The Star Wars fonts is a little tough to add into too many designs. It's very distinct.
Yeah.
But if anything else, I just think it helps me at a pretty young age just to, just like the wonder of it all. I just love all the different sci-fi shows of different galaxies in space and different planets, and it kind of gets you, in my opinion, a little bit out of the narrow-mindedness of just kind of what's around you immediately, and it just kind of opens you up to what kind of exists and what you can, and I think you could apply that to a lot of things in your life, but to design, that sometimes it's easy to get wrapped up in your kind of job and what your company has always done. But there is a whole world out there that does different types of design. So to just like keep exploring, I mean, that's what to me Star Wars is all about, is just exploring.
Absolutely. That you almost completely perfectly answered my next question. This is a question I love to ask everyone that I have on the podcast is, what has Star Wars taught you as a person? What is the message of Star Wars that has instilled into you? If you want to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, it's that message of we, like to see the world in black and white, and, the dark side versus the light side. But there's obviously a lot of in between and kind of gray to that. And you really saw that with Anakin's kind of, as you saw firsthand, and how he got to be, the most evil person in the galaxy. And, you see that now with Ahsoka and how she's torn in between the two. And yeah, there's just a lot of gray in the world, and it's not as simple as like, I don't know, good or bad. And, you always love to have a redeeming story, and there's always a chance, I think, for people to redeem themselves. So that's kind of why I enjoy it so much.
I love it. There's more to the black and white of the world. We gotta look for what's around us. I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much, John, for jumping on and chatting with me today. All things Star Wars food. I so appreciate it. Do you want to plug to everyone listening where they can find more of you and your projects?
Yeah, I mean, Galactic Chef, pretty straightforward on pretty much all platforms. Instagram and TikTok are my most popular. I got hopefully a lot of videos coming here in the next couple of weeks for the May 4th. Trying to hopefully do more tutorials than I've ever done. People are asking for them. I haven't ever really done many of those before, but we'll give it our best go. And I started a new channel called Galactic Walking, where I just take a walk every day and enjoy the outdoors. So I just hopefully inspire some people to get active.
Love it. I love it. Fantastic. And yeah, both those accounts will be linked in the description as well if you want to check them out right now. Right now, you can just scroll down and click them and you're there. There you go. Well, again, thank you so much, John, for jumping on today. Appreciate you coming by. And thank you for listening. And definitely go check out Galactic Chef and Galactic Walking. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.
Yeah, thanks for having me.